I'm Lori Mulligan, and I support and advocate for our Verizon D.O.D customers here in Southern California as a partner, collaborator, and champion of digital transformation. We're pleased to have some special guests with us here today for our 5G defense-focused innovation session. A bright mentor once told me that innovation is having the courage to do the things that have never been done before. At our Verizon 5G labs, we're working hard to grow the 5G ecosystem at an exciting cadence. Together, we're exploring the art of the possible of 5G. Today's panel discussion is focused on taking the same concept to an actual military base in Southern California, creating a proving ground that we call the 5G Living Lab, which is focused on core vectors such as autonomous vehicles, drones, force protection, and energy management. Let me introduce our panelists for today. First, we have Lieutenant Colonel Brandon Newell, who serves a dual role as the Naval X Southern California Tech Bridge Director and Director of Technology and Partnerships. Steve Lamb, Director of Network Field Engineering for Verizon. And Paul Gukian, Vice President of Engineering at Qualcomm. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. Lieutenant Colonel Newell, going back to July 2020, this is what we call a watershed moment. The very first in the country 5G millimeter wave node live on a military installation for 5G testing. Where did this vision begin, and how did you navigate this pioneering journey?
Thanks, Lori. It's a pleasure to be with Verizon and Qualcomm today and really talk about, the unique thing that we've created together. It goes back to 2017, first with our relationship with Qualcomm, a collaborative research agreement around connected vehicles. So unmanned vehicles that connect to everything, sensors, infrastructure, other vehicles. We learned a lot from Qualcomm about not only the vehicle and the capability, but early stages of 5G and how disruptive it would be, not only to the vehicle industry, but to so many markets. And so we knew that we had to create an opportunity on behalf of the Department of Defense to learn more about 5G, the critical capabilities of it, but also the emerging technology that it was going to enable. And so at that time, I first met you in 2018 as the city of San Diego suggested we meet. I know that Verizon had a relationship with City of San Diego, really pushing the boundaries of launching 5G there. And we also have a relationship with San Diego, a memorandum of understanding to work on smart city efforts together. And so as Verizon came and met with us, we saw a commonality in our vision of really unlocking the future, not just so that better, cell phones would perform more capable cell phones, but really showing what the power of cellular technology was going to do to so many markets. And so together we had a common vision of standing up a 5G living lab on Miramar.
Let me toss the next question to Verizon. Steve, the Miramar design includes 5G ultra-wideband as well as 4G LTE. Can you explain the strategy behind this?
Yeah, thanks, Lori. The primary focus was getting ultra wideband onto Miramar, and is a great partnership to enable to do that. But Verizon is constantly, tweaking our network, adding, ensuring the best performance, the best capacity. Well, we also needed 4G on Miramar to satisfy our existing customers there. The good thing about it is with this technology, as we, build out 5G, 4G is still coming along and it's still needed, it's still required. But, with some great features, DSS, dynamic spectrum sharing, we're actually deploying 4G and 5G simultaneously. So it is not just putting 4G on there and it's going to go away. It's actually setting up for more future capacity and performance.
Let's turn to Paul from Qualcomm. As a 5G technology leader with your headquarters right down the road from Miramar, how has this effort played a role in the development of 5G technology?
Yeah, thanks, Laurie, and thanks for Verizon for having me on. Yeah, Miramar has actually played a very important role in the technology development and test for Qualcomm on 5G. With all the generations of cellular, we design, we develop, and we test. And then we develop some more and we test some more. And it's really that test capability that's so important to actually fine tune the technology and make it usable. there was very big claims on 5G as transforming many industries. Beyond the smartphone, looking at IoT, automotive, drones, you've already mentioned. And so that's where we had some common ground with Miramar. They were very interested to follow the technology. They wanted to understand actually about drones in particular, what was coming, that they could look at from just the installation itself, but then also operationally. And so that's where we first started our collaboration. We worked with Miramar, we worked with the FAA, and we had a whole low altitude drone program where we weren't using the base, we were using the airspace over the base. And that's a very critical airspace. It's actually the most stringent airspace in the country. And so there we collaborated very well with Miramar, looking at how cellular technology serves a population in the air, as well as a population of devices on the ground. Very exciting, with Miramar, we had our own call sign. We were Qualcomm One, not as cool as Maverick or Iceman, some would say, but it certainly served our need as a small operation. But then in 2017, Lieutenant Colonel Newell was driving a much more collaborative program, looking at autonomous vehicles, looking at the environment on the base as far as energy. And that's where we started collaborating with automotive, also with our cellular vehicle to infrastructure technology, and then 4G to 5G connectivity for autonomous vehicles. I mean, just think about that environment where it is mission critical when you serve those types of applications. And so what a great test ground to actually do that in the mini city of which is Miramar, the base. So the 5G Living Lab is now serving a purpose there to bring in all different other applications and look at them from the operation side, but also just serving the community of men and women on the base and driving an economy of scale there. So excellent collaboration.
Lieutenant Colonel Newell, I know you've fostered a collaborative approach from the beginning. How has this approach accelerated the rate of innovation from your view?
Well, thanks, Lori. We like to call it a collaborative market. We really want to unlock opportunity to work together with industry and non-traditional partners. Long has D.O.D. really been prescriptive about what the future would look like and really putting resources behind, enabling what that prescriptive view would look like. I think we're at a great disadvantage doing that now as emerging technology is passing us by because we're so slow and bureaucratic. And so to compete, keep our competitive edge, we really have to change how we engage with industry, really understanding the nascent stages of emerging technology and how we're going to position ourselves well to understand what it's going to do across the entire defense sector. And so what we love about this program, and then embodied by the relationships with Verizon and Qualcomm, is that we aren't sitting on opposite ends of a contract, really restricted by the language of that contract, but we're sitting at the same table with a collaborative research and development agreement as co-designers and partners in what we're, bringing about. And so it's very exciting. We're putting the power and the intuition of the technology leaders into action to work with us.
I'll ask the same of you, Steve, and then Paul. If you could think back to 2018, what has changed based on your experience and cultivation as it relates to the power of 5G?
Yeah, like Colonel Knoll alluded to, Department of Defense is very prescriptive, and the type of our solutions, Verizon and the other carriers have deployed on military bases are very large towers, very 100 feet up, 8-foot antennas, very big generators. With the forward movement of 5G and with 5G ultra wideband, we need to deploy what's called small cells. These are smaller radios, smaller antennas that have to be closer and tighter to the devices that they serve. So instead of doing one or two big macro traditional cell towers, it could be 20 small cells, 30 small cells, depending on the geography. There has to be an acceptance of that. So, the process to get our solutions on military bases is very cumbersome, very bureaucratic, and rightly so, to keep security and keep everything, proper. Now we're doing that many more. So it took a lot of partnership, a lot of time between both the carrier, Verizon, and the military base, Miramar, in order to get all these designs, get them in, get them through the process. It was, an evolution on how the next generation wireless networks look.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's moving fast, right? First there was the promise, and then there's the reality, and this is where the collaboration with Verizon and Miramar to actually have real world conditions on the base and to be able to deploy these networks and actually see how the technology is working. That's something that we had in 2018, even before the first commercial rollouts, and so this is where Qualcomm is having all of our R&D resources a few miles away. We can do things fast. We can go to Miramar, we can test, we can find problems, we can go back, we look at the data, we iterate on the solution, we go back, and we do that every day. And that was really caused the speed and the acceleration of 5G. And then as a customer, the DoD installation, getting to know that customer and the customer needs, and just really touching on what can 5G bring to the DoD installations going forward. That was a learning that we took from the base, and the base is learning from the technology side and coming up with new innovative ideas. I mean, 5G, 2 years in, the network is launched commercially, Verizon blazing a trail with 5G. And all of these new markets, as we talked about, the innovation in these new industries is starting to happen, and not just in DoD, but healthcare and automotive. And that's really the excitement of 5G. It's moving so fast, so much faster than 4G, actually.
Now that 5G has been designated as a national security imperative, we'll shift back to you, Lieutenant Colonel Newell. How will 5G technology be used to unlock new opportunities for a smart installation? Can you share a few examples of the pilots and goals around each?
Thanks, Lori. First, we talk about a 5G network, not a 5G waveform. It's important to understand, and Steve mentioned it earlier, 4G LTE is a critical component. It's really the foundation of what a 5G network is. And then you come in with 5G and 4G small cells to really enhance the capability in, localized areas. A key to this and the momentum behind 5G is that the Department of Defense missed the 4G revolution. We really missed the cellular revolution that everyone outside the government and in their personal lives has benefited from. But it's not just about smartphones. It's really about the enabled capabilities, the Internet of Things capabilities that are coming in so many markets. And so I'm going to give you two examples of what we're doing today on the base. First, with a company named Anduril out of Orange County. They have security, sensor suites that leverage artificial intelligence and machine learning to help complement our security forces on the base. That complement is happening in remote locations and really, leveraging cellular connectivity to tie back to the cloud. Anduril does computing on the edge themselves to really reduce the bandwidth requirements because they want to be able to leverage 4G and not have to rely on 5G in those types of locations. That's critical learning for us in understanding how we design or write requirements for cellular networks to enable sensor suites like this around the country. Another example that we have is with our connected vehicles or unmanned vehicles. Today we have a couple vehicles from Local Motors, Ollie, they're called autonomous shuttles. We're using them for package delivery on the base, really complementing again the man-intensive nature of our job with unmanned systems. Now we know the future is going to allow us to have connected vehicles that remote some of the sensors into infrastructure or have vehicle-to-vehicle connectivity. But the vehicles we have today are autonomous and not connected. And so the way we're using that is we're using cellular to do the data migration of terabytes of data each night back into the cloud. That's critical learning, not just about a vehicle, not just about package delivery, but how this dynamic nature and high bandwidth capability of 5G can really close our gaps. And there's so many gaps like that across the base that we're looking for innovating on into the future, all so that we can write better requirements and really unlock those emerging capabilities that will sit on the distant end of a cellular network.
The great thing about the role that I play at Verizon is that we're working with partners to pilot programs that will have massive impact across the DoD. Starting with Verizon, then Qualcomm, and then wrapping up with Lieutenant Colonel Newell, are there any closing thoughts that you'd like to share with the audience?
Yeah, thanks, Lori. I have to say, as a veteran, it's an honor and a privilege to work for a company like Verizon that takes supporting our military, very real, very seriously. Not only supporting the military, the active military, but also hiring veterans. It's just awesome. I love coming to work every day with that in mind. Just a couple of thoughts. With me and my team, we're on the front end. We build the network. So if there's any military base, any Department of Defense agency that they really want to harness the power of the 5G, everything that Paul and Lieutenant Colonel were talking about to realize this new future, you have to build the network. So you have to start now. Get those partnerships going. Get together, and it takes a little bit of time, but working together, getting that partnership, it can happen. So thank you, Lloyd.
Yeah, a real honor and pleasure to work with the men and women of Miramar and for Qualcomm and also for expanding our partnership with Verizon on the realization of this 5G living lab on the base. We talk about 5G as a national asset, the technology, the networks, and it's just great to see that the D.O.D installations are looking at 5G as this foundational technology to build on operations as well as serve the men and women on the base with just normal, new experiences in many cases. And, we're working on 6G already. So we look forward to ongoing collaboration with the base and giving them insights to 6G and working with Verizon to make that a reality in the not too distant future. As we mentioned, 5G, 4G, 3G, all multi-technology solutions that we need to serve the different industries. So thank you.
Yeah, I'll wrap up with it's all about relationships, Lori, as you know. The relationships that come together and work together towards a common vision. For us, that's design. We believe in aspirational visions and co-designed, designing together, iterative design, with our partners. But we don't stop at design because that's just words and that's just theories. We really think that you have to create. And so we are invested in prototyping and really learning from the reality on the ground of those prototypes, what it means to a network and what it means to a performer that's sitting on the network and what it means to a customer for emerging technology. And then finally, we look to inspire. We look to inspire each other as to pushing the boundaries of where we can go together. But maybe more important, we're looking to inspire others across the nation because the competitive advantage of this country, the competitive advantage of our industries, it's all about collaboration and relationships. And we think we get there together.
Lieutenant Colonel Newell, thank you for your vision and determination, which has generated tremendous momentum behind this aspiration and the future of smart installations. Steve, Paul, thank you as well for your valuable insights. As the DoD meets the challenge of change and digital transformation, it's important that we recognize the power of collaboration between industry and defense. This is the greatest unlock I've had the privilege to partner with in my 25-year career serving and supporting the Department of Defense. The momentum is exciting and promising.